Another edition of our very popular Tasteful Nude segment. You can see that Jamie's been working on his fitness. He looks fantastic. Jamie, Edmonton, 16 consecutive wins, 1 win away from tying the National Hockey League record held by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Before the season started, buddy, a lot of people in this building had Edmonton winning the Stanley Cup. Are they Cup favorites again in your mind?
I think they are, because they are playing the type of hockey that we expected them from the start of the season to play. It's taken them a long process to get there. Now, Vancouver, Colorado, Winnipeg, Boston deserve some love, but the Edmonton Oilers have pushed ahead because of the way that they've played. And I use the term solid, buttoned-up hockey, because they've had this winning formula during the streak where it's been good goaltending, strong special teams, solid D, 4 lines of scoring. It hasn't been sexy hockey because some nights it's been 2-1, 3-1. They've played patient and effective. The Stars, yes, they're getting it done for sure. There's been tweaks by Chris Knobloch, the coach. He's done a really good job moving guys around the lineup, but they've played a complete team game. This is the team that everybody at the starting of the year expected to play like. Now, it took a long process to get here. They're not going to win every night, but I think they look a lot more like that cup contending team now that everybody is settled in and into a groove. So they have to be a cup contender in my mind.
Quick follow-up. What did you think of the Corey Perry addition? And was there any concern in your mind that this team was going so well and even their bottom 6 was looking so good that even adding someone with so much experience and Stanley Cup pedigree as Perry might be a bit of a risk?
Well, sometimes it's a risk maybe for the streak, but I think you're looking at the bigger picture and saying, you're right, this is a guy who's done everything at the National Hockey League level. And let's not forget, they added in Dylan Holloway as well because he came up from the minors and he's healthy. So you've got 2 big guys added into your lineup. Perry's a big, strong guy. He knows his role, too. He's not expecting to play in the top 2 lines. He's expecting to play maybe 4th line minutes, maybe 3rd line minutes, get some second power play look. And he is a guy that can help settle a bench down if a bench starts to get a little bit upset or maybe a little bit rattled in the heat of the battle because he's been there. So I think it was a low value add as far as financially, but it's got big upside with the experience that he can bring.
Only 8 players in history have hit the 70-goal mark. Jamie McLennan. Does Auston Matthews become the 9th this season?
I'm pulling for him. I mean, he needs 30 goals in 35 games, and if there's anybody going to do it in the National Hockey League right now, it is Auston Matthews. And if you look at it, yes, there might be pockets down the stretch here where he goes a couple games without scoring. But that being said, he always bounces back where, hey, here's a hat trick, here's a streak of 3 games where we get 2 goals each in those games. So especially if he hits like 65 and he's got 4 or 5 games left, you know the team will be focused on trying to get him to 70. So every empty net situation, every good look, they're going to give him the puck, and he's a guy who can bury it. So I think the whole league has kind of got their eye on it going, it would be nice for somebody to hit 70, and if somebody's going to do it, it is going to be AM34.
As a former NHL goaltender, I am always obliged to ask you some goalie questions. I'm going to start with Ilya Samsonov. Jamie, it looks like he has his confidence back somewhat. So if you're Sheldon Keefe, how are you handling the goaltending situation for Toronto as we head down the stretch here?
Well, I think you have to not split them, but you've got to give an opportunity for Joseph Woll to get back into the lineup as well. So if Samsonov can continue to stabilize, which we've seen in his last 3 to 4 games, and then Woll comes back in and you allow him to have some of the net, what it is, it's a healthy competition now. And they can challenge each other for the net. Now, Martin Jones has done a good job. I think he deserves a medal for coming up and doing an amazing job. But if you can get all 3 healthy, playing to their potential, now it becomes good for the Toronto Maple Leafs where it's like, hey, who do we choose down the stretch? Who gets us into the playoffs? And who is our guy in the playoffs? But if Samsonov can stabilize, what's going to happen is that's going to push Joseph Woll to be better because he's going to have to fight for the net. So I think this is a positive, healthy competition if Samsonov can continue to get back to where they expected him to be at the start of the season.
Connor Hellebuyck about to make his 4th All-Star appearance in his 9th season with the Jets. It's incredible. He just seems to be getting better, Jamie. Is he your Vezina frontrunner at this point? How would you assess his game this season?
Yeah, he has been the best goaltender on the planet probably the last month and a half. Now, I got to give Thatcher Demko a lot of love. I think the two of them have been battling back and forth for who's going to get the Vezina vote. So we'll see how the next 40 games play out. But Connor Hellebuyck right now is my Vezina winner. He's been that consistent for the Winnipeg Jets. And when the Jets went on this streak, and let's not forget, there's been a lot of adversity with that Jets team. You know, Rick Bowness takes the lead. There's been injuries and you know, turnover where PLD leaves and you bring in Velarde, you bring in Iafallo. So when you think about it, the team stabilized. They played a lot better defensively in front of him, but he's a rock. He's a guy who plays every night, doesn't complain about it. He wants the net, and he's been fantastic this season. So I think he is my Vezina front runner right now. We just need to continue it on down the stretch. Great
point about Demko. And Jake Markstrom on one of your former teams, the Calgary Flames, bails out the Flames Saturday, 32-save shutout. You know, he's been a bit up and down, but he's definitely had a better season than last season, and there's a lot of teams that would probably love to have him at the deadline, but that's a big ticket. He's got term. He's also got the full no-move clause, Jamie. How do you think this plays out? Does he ride out the season with Calgary, or is there a potential that Jake Markstrom goes elsewhere?
Well, as you just pointed out, he controls the situation with the no-move clause, but you have to think that Craig Conroy, his phone would be ringing off the hook from certain organizations within the league that you need to shore up that number one situation. And now all of a sudden, Craig Conroy will be fielding offers, and it'll be up to him to, if he gets an unbelievable offer, to take it to Jacob Markstrom and say, okay, do you want to be moved? Here's an opportunity. Again, you've got to also figure out what are the Calgary Flames doing moving forward. Craig Conroy's on record saying, okay, I might have to move some of these unrestricted free agents, but I'm getting the most calls on Jacob Markstrom potentially. So you do have big decisions to be made, but one thing has to be pointed out. Jacob Markstrom controls his own destiny. And if it's not going to be in Calgary, if they're not going to make the playoffs, so they're going to head in a retooling situation, why would he not look at a potential getting traded to a contender or a team that's heading in a direction that's a lot closer to contending? So he controls it. We'll see how that one unfolds.
You mentioned Thatcher Demko and his incredible season, just one of the many reasons that the Vancouver Canucks are on top of the NHL standings as we speak. Do you think they'll remain there, Jamie? Is this team going to win the President's Trophy this year?
I want to be positive, so let's go with yes, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the spine of the team, they are having career seasons, and Thatcher Demko is going to be up for the Vezina. Quinn Hughes is probably going to be up for the Norris. Elias Pettersson might be up for the Hart. That's your spine of the team, your number one centerman, your number one D, your number one goaltender. And they're having amazing seasons. Their D have size, and they're mean. They play for keeps. Their forwards have depth now. And that third line for Vancouver could be arguably one of the best third lines in hockey. So, and let's not discount the one thing too here. Rick Tocchet would probably be up for Coach of the Year right now. His team emulates his attitude. I just mentioned it. They play for keeps. They come to play every night. They compete hard on pucks. They're not running you through the boards, but they're right there. So Rick Tocchet's done an unbelievable job with this group, and that's why they're very consistent night in and night out. Is they may lose a game here or there, but as I mentioned, they compete nightly for those 2 points. So I don't see a big drop-off with this team because of the coach, because of the top players. So you could see them winning the President's Trophy in the league as well.
It's easy to see why the Canucks gave Jimmy Rutherford a contract extension. Everything he's done since he's arrived has just led to positive things for Vancouver. They're on pace for 118 points this season. That would be the most in their franchise history. This guy's unbelievable. Jamie McLennan, one of the best guys we have. This has been another edition of Tasteful News.